Crime spree started in Chatsworth at 12:30 a.m. when a lone suspect drove a stolen pickup truck right into Smoke City on Devonshire. And once inside, 5 more suspects arrive and get to work. And by work, we mean stealing.
Good morning and good afternoon. It is Saturday, August 24th, 2024, and we hope you had a great week this week, and this is your weekly blunt wrap-up of the Blacklist XYZ. I'm your host, Jason Beck, and please remember to smash that like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as well as drop us a comment below of what you think about this week's blunt wrap-up of the Blacklist XYZ. So let's get right into it with story number 1 in this week's blunt wrap-up. Plan on Florida being super over dramatic as they attempt to pass legalization. The big pharma companies are protecting their market share. That's right, because Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd announced the arrest of 3 suspects running an illegal marijuana mobile dispensary, dubbed the Cannabis mobile dispensary. Sheriff Judd detailed how the suspects brazenly advertised on the bus with signs reading, "No medical card required," alongside their social media handles and a QR code menu. Deputies discovered marijuana, drug paraphernalia, a digital scale with cocaine residue, and other illegal substances. The suspects claim they obtained marijuana legally but repackaged and sold it legally without a state-issued license. Sheriff Judd criticized their operators, highlighting their lack of common sense. And the 3 suspects, who have an extensive criminal records, face multiple felony charges, including possession with intent to sell, drug paraphernalia, and maintaining a vehicle for drug sales. One suspect, Jimmy Adrenal, has a history of over 100 criminal charges and even threatened officers during his arrest. Sheriff Judd warned that if Amendment 3, which would legalize adult use marijuana in Florida, passes, operations like this could become widespread, and advocates like Paul Armentano from NORML argue that unregulated sellers exist because there's a demand that legal outlets currently can't meet. And the source of this is WFLA out there in Florida. And man, oh man, I'll tell you right now, this happening in Polk County is no surprise that these guys got popped. I mean, the Polk County Sheriff has his own YouTube channel that is very interesting. He's always out there busting drug dealers and whatnot, and this is absolutely no surprise to me. But we're going to go and see what you guys have to say. But on one first note, if I do happen to murder your Instagram name, I do apologize in advance. It is not intentional. And now let's see what y'all have to say about this, because Hooligan 380 says they had this in New Orleans. They didn't even sell weed, just weed branding. Kimbo Staval says, I don't know, the entire story is retarded. Who tells cops that? I mean, I think it's crazy that they're out there doing it, but, you know, who am I, you know? Fo20 says, don't F with Grady Judd. That's right, Grady Judd is the sheriff down there in Polk County, Florida. And underscore not average Agio says, driving around in an illegal dispensary van filled with product is smart. You are so right, especially with a sign that says, hey, you know, just no med card required. Like, it's so crazy. Medi Cropper says, apparently they don't watch Grady Judd's YouTube channel. Shit doesn't fly in Polk County. Exactly right, Medi Cropper. Here underscore for the underscore memory says, as long as it's THCA, they're good. But I'm assuming the cocaine residue might have gotten them in trouble, and the no license to distribute. I'm surprised that none of them did try to say that it was all THCA, but, you know, who knows? Who knows? And to which Brycey underscore B says, I mean, let's be honest, guys. It's not adult use in Florida, and you're in the South. Like, that's got to be the dumbest idea ever. I mean, you can literally get in trouble doing that if you had a food truck and no license. You're right, because they arrest people and they fight crime down there, and, they got a nice little society going on. And Vinny Winning says, ain't no way you're getting away with any of that stuff in that New York stuff down here in Polk County, no less. You're right. Yeah, Florida is not playing. They do not want that around. That is for sure. I mean, you've seen even from the statements from the governor recently with him coming out and supporting the hemp side and trying to make sure that Amendment 3 does not pass. But nonetheless, you guys, moving right along into story number 2 in this week's blunt wrap-up of the Blacklist XYZ. Northern California deputies recently arrested 2 men after pulling them over on the highway and learning they were illegally transporting over 2,000 pounds of marijuana. The Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office said on the evening of July 31st, 2 deputies were patrolling the Big Springs area where they noticed a blue food truck towing a U-Haul trailer swerve across the double yellow lanes into the oncoming lane. Deputies made contact with the truck's driver, a 38-year-old man, and the truck's passenger, a 44-year-old man, and said they noted an overwhelming smell of fresh marijuana plants coming from the vehicle and trailer. During the probable cause search of the truck and trailer, the 2 deputies located a combined 131 large bags filled with marijuana. The sheriff's office said, in total, the men were found to be transporting 2,183 pounds of illegal marijuana. Neither man had a Department of Cannabis Control distribution license and was required for lawful transportation of marijuana in California. Both men were taken into county jail for possession and transportation of illegal marijuana for sale, and the source of this came out of Fox 40, you guys. Man, oh man, oh man. This stuff, when you look at all this picture right here, I mean, that just speaks that it is trim to me, and it is not like the end of the world. It's just a whole bunch of trim. It wasn't even a big bust, but of course, cops are going to inflate it and say, oh, it's over 2,000 pounds of weed and yada, yada, yada. And the bigger the bust, the bigger the boost. And you guys know how that goes along. But we're going to roll right into the comments and see what you guys had to say about this. Because Adam.Norcal says, trim gods. And Bogdank92 says, it's trim, people. That's right. I'm willing to bet that it's trim and not packs of peas. That's for sure. Bradley Owen 710 says, man, where is all that flour going, though? East Coast is pretty much legal. West Coast is legal. All across the Midwest is legal. Who the F is still buying out-of-state packs? Freaking Indiana? It's good. Stephen R. Domingo says, 54 comments and not a single person can recognize that's not even weed. That's just biomass. No wonder things are so messy. The blind are leading the blind. Fair point, you guys. Fair point. C. Jarvison says, LOL, swerved moving lanes. You mean they moved lanes? Fine. And you called it a swerve. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about all that. We'd have to see the police dash cam footage in order to know for sure on that. But nonetheless, Laker Cake NY says, the definition of you doing too much, my guy. But I guess the logic is 1 trip less likely to get bagged over 10 trips. That is some good logic right there. Not mad at that. That is true. For sure. 400 ECV says, somebody threw a tracker in there. I doubt that's what happened, but okay. Money.First707 says, all the dispensary weed is too taxed and is all trash. The black market will keep thriving. They have better weed. It's fresher weed, if that makes sense. Well, somewhat it does. Trinity Estate says, the way it's bagged and being transported, it's trim, LOL. You're right. I agree, too. It's totally trim. There are a lot of people that didn't understand that, though, in all of the comments. Rain Through Farms LLC says they were probably released and had the gardens replanted in the next 45 minutes and will keep doing it because California DCC doesn't do shit for anybody except themselves and their lobbyists in corporate interests. Interesting perspective. True Staffy Blood says, meanwhile, there are dozens of terrorists on the FBI watch list roaming our streets. You are totally right about that. Sticky Lens 420 says, should have listened to the Pop Brothers at Law. That's right. They should have listened to the Pot Brothers of Law, and STFU, that stands for shut the F up, you guys. Learn the script. And Docta says, sucks to get busted for old trim. I agree, bro. That would just suck. Oh, terrible. R.Y. Maday says, I swear it's always 38 years old. Might as well take the year off if you're 38. That's pretty funny. But a lot of 38-year-olds are getting ready to be 40, so I doubt they can take the whole year off. But nonetheless, rolling right into our third story in this week's Blunt Wrap-Up of the Blacklist XYZ. A shocking documentary filmed inside a vape factory shows a worker allegedly testing up to 10,000 vapes a day, you guys. YouTuber Machina claims to provide viewers with the most reliable information about the Chinese manufacturing world. A video filmed in January, which has gone viral on social media in the last couple of days, claims to have been filmed inside a factory in Boanan in the Shenzhen region of China. Manchina claims the area produces around 80% of the world's vapes, and the video explores the production process and discusses materials used. Wearing yellow protective gear, the presenter first goes to the assembly line where he holds up the core of a vape and describes how it's put together. He watches foam being inserted into the casing and injected with the vape liquid before the heating element and wicking is added to control the amount of vapor inhaled. The presenter then goes on to describe how the factory comes up with new, different flavors of vape, allowing staff to vote on their favorite tastes, you guys. About halfway through the 10-minute video, the camera turns to the man dressed in pink, holding dozens of vapes in each hand as he takes a puff on each one. The presenter asks him how many vapes he tests each day, to which he explained he would puff on around 7,000 to 8,000 vapes every day, but at peak times it can exceed 10,000. The worker adds that he does also smoke outside of work, and the footage has raised concerns amongst vapors due to the questionable hygiene practices of puffing on a vape, which has already been used by a complete stranger. Viewers were also worried about the health of the man forced to test thousands of vapes every day, raising concerns about his lungs. And the source for all of this comes out of the Metro, out of the UK, you guys. Man, this has got to be a tough job, I would imagine. This hitting 7,000, 8,000 different vapes a day. I mean, that's just gonna hurt the lungs. I am not a fan of that. I know I definitely would not want that job. And since it's in China, it's a very, very low paying job. These people just end up residing in these cities and end up having to work in the factories that reside in their cities, so they don't have a lot of options. So this is just a sad story overall. But let's go into the comments and hear what you guys have to say about this, because you guys were very, very, very active in all of this. Wise Owl 716 says he doesn't vape, he is vape. I mean, not mad at that. Michael_Knapp says 10K paid Nick Rips is Gen Z dream job. Yeah, but I seriously doubt they're getting paid 10K, bro. That's not even close to what they're getting paid. East Coast Dam _Gold Flora says, y'all sucking face with that dude. They're not cleaned after he got his grill all up in that. You're right, and that's why you should treat your vapes the same as you would treat your produce and, wash it off or something like that. Thomas.Arch says, I know some kids that'll do that for free. I bet you're right about that. 707 Johnny says, I just hope they got a smoke break. That might be the best one right there. Ridiculous _Leah says, the dude's name is Pandemic. That's pretty good too. One dude _Abide says, all vapors deserve this. Bozos with a boof stick. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of vapes either myself, but to each their own. Let people choose what they want. I Caramba says, am I supposed to feel bad for this man? I'm not sure if you are or not, but some are, some will. NY Meets Fan Man says, you're in Chinese opium den, Timmy. Symphonicgenetics.eth says, torture for one, pleasure for another. Very, very true. Nico.Laz69 says, did he inhale? That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny, bro. Orange_naranja_ says, I'll share my joint with complete strangers, but someone testing a vape is where I draw the line. Another plot twist says, I love that they're all pre-lubed. Cute way to look at it. Scuzz_master says, a chef tastes his food. Yeah, but like you don't like retest it again. I don't know. Supreme_.G.O.D says they need to run some tests on bro's lungs. Yeah, I feel you, bro. I feel bad for his lungs, man, because there's a lot of pollutants too in China too. It's got to be all bad. Passinggrass.ca says that's why 2 out of 10 cannabis vapes don't work. They're not tested. And Max_Payne says, I bet he'll live till 80 still. There's a high chance of that, too. I mean, look at George Burns. He smoked cigars forever. And he was over 80 when he passed away. 716 Dank Dispo says, I'm trimming on the hill till November-ish. Is this position available in the off-season? That's funny. That's funny. And Keones_farm says, imagine it was THC vapes. That would be funny. There's no way they could hit that many THC vapes. They would be, oh, man, in a coma fast. Man, you guys, lots to say about that. But moving right along into our 4th story of the day in this week's blunt wrap-up of the Blacklist XYZ. A San Diego County man was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after authorities say he repeatedly stabbed his brother in Adelanto early Monday. A witness called 911 about 1:15 a.m. to report a commotion in the 10,600 block of Chesterfield Street in San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. Officials had said in the quote, they say, according to the caller, they could hear people screaming at the residence and they believe someone needed help, the agency said in a written statement. Responding, deputies encountered a 20-year-old man suffering from multiple stab wounds. He was taken to a hospital for treatment, and an update on his condition was not available at the time. In a quote, through the investigation, deputies learned the victim had been stabbed by his brother, Raimundo Cota, during a family argument, according to the statement. Cota described a 25-year-old resident of Spring Valley was arrested at the scene and booked on suspicion of attempted murder, county booking logs do show. And while investigating the alleged attack, deputies noticed the home was being used as an illegal marijuana farm, officials said. Electricity was being stolen directly from the grid, and numerous safety code violations were noted. In a quote, 3 small children were living inside the residence with direct access to the marijuana grow, the Sheriff's Department statement said. The children were turned over to the custody of San Bernardino County Child Protective Services, you guys. The investigation is still ongoing, and bail for Cota was set at $1 million pending an initial appearance in San Bernardino County Superior Court, you guys. This came out of the Victor Valley Press. And, man, this is just a super, super sad story overall. That the fact that this man was stabbed by his brother is just super, super sad. I find it a little alarming, the fact that they would even get into some type of altercation or whatnot with those types of things happening in the house. I'm surprised they didn't just take it outside somewhere or whatnot. But, the world is a crazy place, and you can't always explain what people are doing, or if there was other drugs involved or alcohol involved or anything. I'm willing to bet that there was some other substances involved in this when these 2 brothers had this altercation. I hope the victim gets better. But nonetheless, sad story, you guys. And let's get in to see what you guys have to say, because Northern_Lights1117 says, imagine killing someone over some stuff that is almost worthless. Totally agree, bro. Totally agree. Especially, life is super, super precious. Young_G says, shit almost killed my brother over a donut. I get it, LOL. Man, oh man, oh man. It's Jose YG says, the high desert is so ghetto. I feel you. I feel you on that. And to which Jordan of the West says, Inland Empire activities. You are so right about that, you guys. And Jamal Andelson says, nah, bro, that's stupid. Now kids going to ACS. Brother's going to do a shitload of time, both of them, and they are still going to remain brothers. If you ask me, I would have just went to the gas station and got wasted of 4 Locos and blunts and just relax. I agree with you, bro. That would have been the much smarter thing to do. But, you know, that's not what happened in this story, and it's just kind of sad, you know. But rolling right along into our 5th and final story of the day in this week's blunt wrap-up of the Blacklist XYZ.
Crime spree started in Chatsworth at 12:30 a.m. when a lone suspect drove a stolen pickup truck right into Smoke City on Devonshire. And once inside, 5 more suspects arrive and get to work. And by work, we mean stealing armloads of merchandise. The 6 suspects leave the stolen pickup truck at the scene, and 3 hours later, they strike again, 20 miles away in North Hollywood. Their target, Swish Cannabis. Surveillance cameras catch the suspects, 5 of them now in a dark-colored SUV, being followed by a white GMC with 1 suspect. They stop and, according to a witness, begin to talk, going over their plan. The driver of the white GMC, which was stolen 3 days ago in Panorama City, then backs the SUV up at a high rate of speed and crashes it right into the glass plate window of the dispensary. But this time, concrete posts stop the SUV from going inside, and they jam the truck, so the suspect can't drive it out again. He jumps in the dark-colored SUV with his buddies, and off they go, leaving behind the stolen and now undrivable SUV, a trail of broken glass, and a lot of damage. The crime spree started in Chatsworth at 12:30 a.m. when a lone suspect drove a stolen pickup truck right into Smoke City on Devonshire. And once inside, 5 more suspects arrive and get to work. And by work, we mean stealing armloads of merchandise. The 6 suspects leave the stolen pickup truck at the scene, and 3 hours later, they strike again, 20 miles away in North Hollywood. Their target, Swish Cannabis. Surveillance cameras catch the suspects, 5 of them now in a dark-colored SUV, being followed by a white GMC with 1 suspect. They stop and, according to a witness, begin to talk, going over their plan. The driver of the white GMC, which was stolen 3 days ago in Panorama City, then backs the SUV up at a high rate of speed and crashes it right into the glass plate window of the dispensary. But this time, concrete posts stop the SUV from going inside, and they jam the truck, so the suspect can't drive it out again. He jumps in the dark-colored SUV with his buddies, and off they go, leaving behind the stolen and now undrivable SUV, a trail of broken glass, and a lot of damage.
The latest smash and grab robberies hitting retailers in the greater Los Angeles area were 2 heists in the San Fernando Valley, a break-in at a weed dispensary in North Hollywood, and a burglary in Chatsworth Smoke Shop where the suspects rammed a pickup truck into the business's storefront. And this all came out of KTLA, you guys. Man, I'll tell you what, these thieves used to be doing this to all of these different trap distros throughout all of Southern California, and now they're hitting up retail stores. This is just getting crazier and crazier, and these thieves are getting more and more desperate as it just gets harder and harder to live. And so, man, stay safe out there, you guys. This is just all bad. I can't believe that they're going and doing this in the stores. I can't imagine there's a bunch of stuff to steal in regards to, or really that high of a resale value that would make it worth it. But then again, you have district attorneys that aren't prosecuting crime. So if they're not prosecuting crime, there's obviously nothing to worry about. But nonetheless, let's see what you guys have to say about this. Because Trikey_knee says, That lady's voice made this whole situation sound fun. She did have a good voice for all that, for that newscasting. You're right about that, Trikey Knees. Cambacks_terp says, all that for a few vapes and some effing pre-rolls. Donkeys. I totally agree with you, bro. I think it was a total waste of time, but whatever. Carter_Nani says, ATP, just sleep in the dispensary and keep the place armed. Yeah, but that gets really expensive paying someone to sleep in a dispensary. That's the big waste of money, in my opinion. But whatever. RussMac.nerdfunk says, always for weed, never for something of actual value. Totally agree. And Tiki Killer Tyler says, too bad the price for weed and glass is the lowest of all time right now. And Rick Nasaki says, funny, the reason they do this and don't rob banks or Best Buys is because California has failed the legal cannabis industry and legalization in general. Yet it continues to boast and spend all the tax revenue, you guys. Man, Rick and Askey, that's so right. So right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this week's weekend episode of the Blunt Wrap-Up of the Blacklist XYZ. I'm your host, Jason Beck, and make sure to tune in to High at 9 News every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast for America's #1 daily cannabis news show, High at 9 News, as well as continue to comment on all of the posts that the Blacklist XYZ and the Blacklist post throughout the week for your chance to be featured on next week's Blunt Wrap-Up of the Blacklist XYZ. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone, and don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as well as drop us a comment down below of what you think about this weekend's Blunt Wrap-Up of the Blacklist XYZ, brought to you by High at 9 News and Cloud Media Partners. Have an amazing and safe weekend, everyone. We'll see you on Monday.